Alright, what's up, you heathens and demons, you sinners and saints, you beautiful, blasphemous bastards. Welcome back to the Raging Atheist. I had a interesting day yesterday. I've had a really busy week already this week. Lots of conversations. I had a hell of a conversation with CJ Cox yesterday. If you missed that, there was a few of you in the chat, and you got to see it. But if you missed it, I've already mirrored it. I'm trying to figure out what day next week I'll be premiering it. And then after that premiere, and it's like a 3-hour conversation, after that premiere, I'm going to open it up, have an open room, because I'd really like to hear what you guys have to say about the conversation that I had with CJ Cox. Fascinating conversation on whether or not homosexuals are oppressed in America. And I'm not going to give anything away, any spoilers. I think I did really well. I had a couple missteps, a couple things that I could have said better. But that's going to happen in a 3-hour conversation. Yeah, I thought it was a really good conversation. Great political conversation last night with Snake Was Right. If you missed that, I've had this perception that Snake was just an all-out Trumper. And while he does defend Donald Trump, I think that he was able to bring some clarification. Still going to disagree vehemently on politics probably, but able to find some common ground and understanding, which is kind of what I'm trying to do now. So after that conversation, I went in to praise this stream just for a moment. Actually sat in the same room as Smokey Saint, was able to somewhat, we were able to be nice to each other, and just kind of listened as Christians talked about OSAS. Now, OSAS is once saved, always saved. It's a doctrine of the NIFB and of Matt Powell, a doctrine that they promote and, according to a lot of Christians, would pervert. According to a lot of Christians, they don't pervert it. So, fascinating discussion to hear the different Christian perspectives on OSAS. Learned a lot, got a lot to look into, and trying to decide how I'm going to approach Smokey Saint now. Because I think ultimately I need to have a healthier relationship. Now, that doesn't mean I condone any of the things he's done to me or to others, but just try to take that relationship to where we're not going for each other's throats, but we can have an actual conversation, and not do all the bad things. That's what my goal is. Now, I'm a realist. I don't expect change, but I hope for it. But yeah, I'm still kind of trying to decide where that's going to go. But what's up, chat? I see lots of you already here. Hopefully more will be joining. I'm gonna run this for about an hour. I see Brett Keane is here. Hello, Brett. I am going to be critical, as you can imagine, covering an interview that you're doing with with Matt Powell. I'm going to try not to be insulting. I'm going to really try to get away from being the insulting little prick that I can be sometimes. Not always going to be perfect, but I'm going to really try to approach this thing in a different manner than I have up until now. I think that's Bond. It looks like Bond, although it's not telling me Bond's name, but it looks like Bond. Fire, Satan, fire. Hail Satan. So maybe not Bond. I do believe Bond is a Christian. Icky Will, or Maynard Saves. Icky Will and I had a great chat yesterday. I think it went well. Yeah, and it's not like, I'm trying to condone or even really forgive any of the things that's done. Just trying to start a blank slate, and hopefully, it can be about me and Smokey and not, all the other stuff. So yeah, what's up, Maynard Saves, Native Atheist, Black Atheist Rants, Bar, what's up, Bar? If you guys haven't checked out Bar's channel, you should really go and check out Bar's channel. Infectious is how I describe Black Atheist Rants. He'll make you smile. And in fact, I was up super late last night because after I got out of the stream of praise, I was like, I'm going to bed, and I saw that Bar was actually live, and I was like, I can make a live stream, so I stayed up an extra hour and checked that out. I'm going to have to take a nap. So instead of maybe doing half of this, I'm only going to spend an hour. I'm going to try to cut it at around noon, and I'm going to go take a nap because I was up super late last night. But infectious guy, and if you guys have not subscribed to Black Atheist Rants, go and throw him a subscription. He just topped 1,000 subs, and as I said, just really infectious. His smile will rub off on you. But today we're going to get into an interview. Now, I saw parts of this, not much, and the parts that I saw, I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to have to cover this. But I haven't had a chance to see much of it because, as I said, I've been super busy. I've been talking to a lot of people again. I really would like to try to start going into some conversational rooms again. And I'm, of course, knee deep in studying philosophy right now. But I knew I was going to have to cover this at some point, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start today. Two of our favorite people, Brett Keane, Matt Powell, coming together. Now, Matt Powell has this thing to where if Christians don't act the way that he wants to act or follow the doctrines that he wants them to follow, well, he'll do that no true Scotsman. He'll point the finger and you're not a Christian. And in fact, Matt Powell maintains that there's only really two religions. One would be the NIFB, and two would be everybody else. So he would say, well, that would be the second one would be the religion of atheism. But everybody that's not in the NIFB would actually usually fall into that. Somehow, Brett Keane and Matt Powell, although they've had some issues over the years, Matt Powell, as far as I've seen, has never done that to Brett. And I just have to ask why, because he does it to everybody else. And if you guys haven't seen, Matt Powell just recently had a debate with Smokey Saint on OSAS. I haven't seen that debate yet. I've heard it went well for actually both sides. I've heard people say Matt Powell won. I've heard people say Smokey Saint won. Maybe we'll be reviewing that someday in the future. But as I said, I'm booking a lot. So next week I'm talking with Empathy Podcast. I'm going to go on their show. I'm going to go on Canadian Michael the Canadian Atheist podcast next week. So I'm really trying to get out there again. I've been streaming a lot. I've been having a lot of conversations. Really trying to start to pick the channel back up. Give you guys the what you guys want to see, which is me going head to head with theists. So yeah, really looking forward to it. But as I said, I want to get this done by stupid phone. I want to get this done by noon, so I'm just going to get right into it. Get to the right one, not that one, that one. All right. Interview, Brett Keane, Matt Powell. Let's go.
Today I wanted to congratulate Matt Powell. He's been making a lot of videos for the past year while I was on vacation. And
do I have the right one?
Reaching out to non-believers. And it's pretty clear that a lot of atheists actually respect him. They are willing to admit, surprisingly to me, that they are...
I guess I should probably actually finish recognizing the chat. I stopped at bar. That's how infectious bar is you just stop when you're talking about bar. But Jaded Atheist is here. What's up, Jaded Atheist? Native Atheist is here. What's up, Native? Long time viewer. Native been watching me since pretty much the beginning. So what's up, Native Atheist? Secular Pagan Mum. What's up, Secular Pagan Mum? Monkey for Banana. P Mars is here. Just talked to P Mars last night. Told P Mars he can come back on the channel and we can talk. We just gonna stay away from that one conversation that's gonna send me into a rage. And again, my new thing that I'm gonna really try to be doing on this channel is having more tolerance, not judging, trying to understand. That's gonna be my new thing. I'm sure I'll still be raging, but I'm gonna try to understand and not point the finger and say, "You bad, you can't talk to me." No, you bad. I want to understand what makes you do and say the things that I consider to be quote unquote bad. I don't want to judge. I want to understand and hopefully maybe make some ground with each individual that I talk to from here on out. Chris Peacock is here. What's up, Chris? Maynard Saves, smoke weed every day. Maynard Saves. What's up, Maynard Saves? Marty Camejo. Love you, Marty. What's up? Good morning. Junk Shop. Always a pleasure, Junk Shop, to have Junk Shop Library in the chat. Who else do we got? We got Geo Sam, we got Max and Chubbs. Puff is here. Puff was watching the stream last night, and I really want to try to set up a conversation between Puff and Snake, capitalism versus socialism. I think that that would be an awesome conversation. So we're going to try to make that work. Ray just trying to be nice. How refreshing. Now, don't get it twisted. I'm still going to be me, but I just want to take it to a level, a different level. So what's up, everybody? Now I do want to ask the chat, please respect my wishes. You know, really, no timing out, no banning people unless they're using slurs or if they're just being straight disrespectful. You know, do your thing. But if you do that, try to email me or send me some kind of private message on Twitter, Facebook, wherever you follow me. And kind of let me know what was going on. And because, you know, when I go back to look at it in the chat the next day, I'm not going to see it. So I just want to know what's going on. And then I can, you know, unban them, do whatever I need to do. But like really try to be tolerant, especially when it comes to the theist. I really want theists to feel like they can come and challenge me and, you know, challenge some of you. So I'm trying, I really want to make an atmosphere that's going to breed more conversations for you guys to watch, which hopefully will pay off. Hopefully it'll pay off. But now let's get into this.
They are wrong and incorrect about their position and arguments that they've attempted to make whenever in the squared circle with Matt Powell. I always believed that Matt Powell would not only end up a star, but I believe that he should be one of those type of people that other...
Like, I'm really hoping I didn't miss the part. I think I probably did. So I'm going to start it over from the beginning. And Brett, you know, you're special. I think you're the only one that has such a high opinion of Matt Powell outside of the Nifpies. Like, Nifpies love him. Some Christians that don't quite understand what he is, they're like, yeah, I can dig some of the things he says, especially now that he doesn't do the whole homophobe thing much on YouTube anymore. He understands that that'll get him kicked off of YouTube now. It might be easier for a normal Christian to appreciate Matt Powell. But the way you bloviate about Matt Powell is special, my dude. I'm not going to lie. So I want to check that out from the beginning because Brett does say something here right at the very beginning that I really wanted to respond to.
Today I wanted to congratulate Matt Powell. He's been making a lot of videos for the past year while I was on vacation and reaching out to non-believers. And it's pretty clear that a lot of atheists actually respect him. They are willing to admit, surprisingly to me, that they are wrong and incorrect about their position and arguments that they've attempted to make whenever in the squared circle with Matt Powell. I always believed that Matt Powell would not only end up a star.
All right, so, like, Brett, you're in the side chat. Maybe you can clarify it for me, because I know you're not talking about me. You know, I've admitted to missteps that I've made with Matt Powell. I've admitted to the approach I went into my modern-day debate with Matt Powell probably wasn't the best, especially considering the bait and hook and the bait and switch, whatever. But I've never said that, you know, my arguments were wrong or Matt Powell's arguments were right. So I don't think you're talking about me. And I don't know who else that you know or have talked to that have talked to Matt. So maybe you can clarify, because if you're talking about me, I just don't know what you're talking about, bro. I've admitted to some missteps that I've made throughout the course of my discourse with Matt Powell, especially inside of that modern day debate where he did the bait and switch, and you know, instead of debating evolution with him, I was there to confront him on his dishonest behaviors and some of the things he was doing at the time. Now, in retrospect, considering what I went through, like, say, the last year, that shit back then was nothing. It was nothing. You know, what Matt Powell was doing was really nothing. I mean, outside of like when he sabotaged my camera and stuff. But yeah, I've never said, oh, Matt Powell's argumentations was right, because like his argumentation is so off the mark wrong. It's kind of crazy. Like I just watched a video that Matt put out. I was thinking about reviewing it, right? Like and Matt Powell is talking about how evolutionists talk about the 40 days and 40 nights and how it's an impossibility. Well, and one of the things is, for one, it's not an impossibility to reign for 40 days and 40 nights. I mean, it's improbable in the modern age, but it maybe can happen. I think what we scoff at is the fact that the entire world was covered in water in 40 days and 40 nights. Now, Matt Powell just put out a video saying, well, while we talk about how it's impossible for 40 days and 40 nights, that it literally rained for 2 million years, way back before even the dinosaurs were here, right at the start of the Jurassic period, I believe it was. I don't know. I watched another video kind of about it. And while Matt Powell's not wrong, with 2 million years of rain, it didn't cover the whole world in water. Killed off a lot of reptiles, but 2 million years of rain, and we still didn't have a whole world covered in water. So Matt doesn't tell you that part. Matt is always wrong. Everything Matt Powell has ever said has been wrong. I can't remember a single goddamn time Matt Powell's ever been right.
But I believe that he should be one of those type of people.
Maybe it's probably a little bit behind, but I did just address that. I did just address that, Brad.
That other Christians should inspire to at least argue like and behave like. Matt Powell does not.
And yes, let's put a voice of reason in there. It was never the entire world raining at once. The atmosphere can't physically hold that much water. Yeah. But I'm gonna look at it. I'm gonna look at it, Brett. And I'm going to look at what the scientists are saying and how Matt Powell's portraying and all that good stuff.
Because he doesn't have negative behavior. He simply comes out with the Bible, and he also approaches atheists whenever it comes to their position, questioning why it is.
Like, was this part of your interview with Matt, or did Matt add this to bloviate himself? Like, is this something that you made about Matt, before the interview and Matt, because this is on Matt Powell's channel. Did he add this, Brett? Like, how long before the damn interview? Like, I didn't watch it. All right, so we got, looks like about 2 minutes of bloviating. So, we're going to watch the bloviating.
They have the views and ideas they do. I can honestly say that whenever I was an atheist, a non-believer myself, I didn't, in the beginning, question my own views. I didn't question why it was that I thought that non-believer was the best thing. And I just wanted to make this video to state congratulations to Matt. Matt has seemed to climb the ranks on YouTube. He is now at 10,000 subscribers. Christians as well as non-believers consider him and respect him as a friend. And people are willing.
What? Christians and non-believers respect him and consider him as a friend? Name one non-believer that considers Matt Powell a friend. Brett, I'll let you do it in the side chat. I'll wait. Brett, Matt tried to be friends with me one time. He wanted to go bowling. And at the time, and still to this day, I'm like, I don't want to have a friend relationship with you. You're a homophobe that calls for the death of homosexuals, the execution of homosexuals. You're an NIFB. You're part of a cult that is just exploding still, even with, all the damage we managed to do to the NIFB, they're still exploding. They're still growing. Like, not many people, even inside the Christian community now, more and more people, more and more Christians are coming out against Matt Powell now. Brett, I mean, more and more Christians are coming out against Matt Powell now. S.J. Thomason has. Smokey Saint has. And then, you know, as that happens, you start to see some of the people whom I've for a long time labeled NIFB really show their NIFB colors. People like Standing for Truth. Jesus is Lord. Now, Jesus is Lord claims to be a Calvinist, but will defend NIFB doctrine until his last breath. Standing for Truth, no doubt anymore. Standing for Truth is NIFB. No doubt at all. He should just come out and just admit it. You know, like, it shouldn't even be like a thing. Like, if you're NIFB, be proud of that shit, yo. And we can start. I want to ask you, Standing, how you see gay people. Because it's bad enough when Christians just, you know, hate the sinner or hate the sin, but they don't hate the sinner. That's bad enough. Because I maintain, no, you hate the sinner. But to call for their execution and to call for the American government to genocide the gay people of America, well, not even most Christians respect that shit, Brick. I'm just saying.
Willing to listen to him, and I think as a Christian, that is one of the most important goals that one who is spiritual should have. And Matt, he seems to have had this idea from the moment he started YouTube, and probably
he tried to be your friend, but, well, you have reasons, I guess. Yeah, I think it's a pretty good reason not to be somebody's friend if they're calling for the genocide of all homosexuals, all LGBTQ+. Like, Matt has called for the death of wives that cheat on their husbands. He can't do that shit on YouTube anymore because it'll kick him off. YouTube don't play around. Like, I got demonetized just covering some of this NIFB shit. I got latched onto that hate speech, trying to combat that hate speech. YouTube ain't fucking around with that shit no more. So Matt Powell, you know, they got to go to BitChute and places like that to really spew their hatred all over the place. So I think that's a pretty good reason. And, you know, I'm not trying to be friends with a Smokey Saint or a Will Kincaid or even a you, Brett Keane. I'm trying to bring it to a place to where I can talk to you guys without biting your heads off. But I'm not trying to be any of your friends. I don't give a fuck about making friends. I don't care. I'm not trying to do that, especially with theists. If I'm going to build community, I'm going to build community with atheists. I want to talk to theists. I don't want to be friends with them.
Long before he even thought about becoming a social media personality. I congratulate him and I wish him all the success. I think as long as he's got God on his side and he continues to speak the truth, there's no way he could possibly lose. With God, anything is possible. God bless you, Matt Powell, and keep on fighting a good fight.
God, I mean, that's really cringe, Brett. That's really cringe. Like, if he's got God on his side, I'm like really, really sorry for this country. Like, if God is on Matt Powell's side, and here, let me take that off. If God is on Matt Powell's side, and that's where this country is heading, I'm getting the fuck out. I'm not going to be around. Because I'm one of the first motherfuckers that's going to go. All right. Maybe a little bit too much cursing for the morning time, although it's almost noon. Time to wake up. Maybe
Hello,
I'll
ladies
be your
and
wake-up
gentlemen.
call.
My name is Brett Keane from God TV
To the interview.
Radio. I hope that you all subscribe, comment, and rate. When you get an opportunity, I've got Matt's link pinned up out there. You need to subscribe to him and check him out. He is a young preacher who has the patience and endurance of an angel. It's just unbelievable. I've seen a lot of debates and discussions with him, and he's incredible. He's got charisma. He hits things from a lot of different angles. People
Hey,
have
what's up,
never
Michael?
even
Smokey Saint is in the
thought of.
house.
Incredible. I think
Brett,
that he is the new generation, the future
I
of
see
what Christianity ought to
God
be.
equals
I hope
square
you
root
don't
of
mind me
1.
saying
What's up,
that.
y'all?
That's not like cause you got problems with compliments. Before we get into any other kind of stuff, how have you been and what you been up to?
Sure thing, Brett. Well, I've been doing pretty good. I was just at church with my family. It's Sunday, and we like to go to church every Sunday and Wednesday. And so things have been good. Just putting out a lot of content on creation, evolution, and so forth, and salvation and whatnot, doing some debates here and there. And so I definitely consider you to be a friend, and I'm glad that we're able to have a conversation.
And again, like, I don't understand that because, like, Brett Keane is nowhere close to what Matt Powell would consider to be a Christian. Like, I've literally had that conversation face to face with Matt Powell twice now. And there's no doubt in my mind that Matt Powell doesn't think Brett Keane's a Christian. No doubt in my mind. I mean, Smokey's in the side chat. You know, Smokey and Matt were getting along, but the moment they have a disagreement on OSAS, well, Matt Powell does what Matt Powell does, doesn't he? I mean, it's what Matt Powell does. If you're not following the NIFB doctrine, according to Matt Powell, you're not a Christian. It's pure and simple. It's what he believes. It's what he's been taught. It's what Steven Anderson propagates. And I still don't know the story, like, you know, what brought Matt back to Michigan. At first, I'm like, you know, maybe there was a fallout with Steven Anderson, but he still lashed firmly to the NIFB. As far as I as far as I know, talking to some insiders, because I do know a few insiders, I've talked to quite a few NIFB members. Matt is still firmly up there in the hierarchy. Like, he is still that golden boy on the rise. Now, I think that the relationship must be strained a bit, considering that Matt Powell has been so firmly attached to Kent Hovind. You know, Brett, you mentioned Matt Powell's over 10,000 subscribers right now. And I'm not going to take anything away from Matt for that. That's impressive, and it's hard to do, especially considering at one point I had overtaken Matt Powell in subscribers. But that started to happen once he started going on Kent Hovind's show. Like, immediately, like, I remember one day there was like a 900 sub bump to Matt Powell's channel, and it was like right after the first time he went on Kent Hovind's show. So I'm not taking that away, but I do think that the relationship between Steven Anderson and Matt must be strained, considering the relationship between Matt and Kent Hovind, considering the relationship, the love-hate relationship that Steven Anderson and Kent Hovind has. Kent Hovind holds pretty much all of the NIFB beliefs, but Kent Hovind is too narcissistic to ever follow somebody like Steven Anderson. So they bump heads, even though they have the same doctrine. So I'm not sure what brought Matt back to Michigan. One of the things that I am sure now that he is back in Michigan is that eventually, sooner or later, we're going to talk again. He's wanted to make it sooner. Like, he likes to pretend like I beg him for the conversations, but he's always the one begging me, asking me. He's been asking me for the last few months to have another one. Eventually we will. Face to face, like always before. I'm just not going to do it in that NIFB church like he wants. No, we're going to have to meet on middle ground. I'm not walking up into the lion's den with a bunch of you gun-toting NIFB fucks that hate me. I'm not going to do that. But I'll meet you on my, middle ground sooner or later, Matt Powell.
It's been a while, so it's really good to see you as well.
One of my questions for you is, at what age did you decide to be a preacher, or did you think that was going to be the case? Or did you have other ambitions?
Yeah, so I never really thought I would end up being a preacher. My mom always told me that I would end up being a preacher, just because of my voice. She said that I have a preacher's voice when I was a child. And so many people would tell me throughout the years, hey, someday you're going to be a preacher. Someday you're going to.
No, I maybe your mother had hopes for you to be a preacher, but I don't think you have that, like, stern preacher's voice. I think you got a little kind of softer, unfortunately, academic voice, maybe. And I say unfortunately because there's nothing academic about you, Matt. But no, like, to give Steven Anderson his due, outside of the words that come out of his mouth, Steven Anderson has that preacher's voice, and I could be biased here. I grew up Southern Baptist. I grew up with that fire and brimstone preaching. And Matt, like, I've seen quite a few of your sermons right now. You ain't got that. I'm not saying you're a bad preacher, but you ain't got that fire and brimstone voice. No, you don't. No, you don't.
Going to be a preacher, and I never really believed it. But when I turned 19, I just saw the propaganda that the public school system was teaching to other people and to the students, and I saw all my fellow students getting deceived by evolution and things like the Big Bang, cosmology, and atheistic theories. And so that's actually what prompted me to
Big Bang and cosmology followed up by atheistic theories. Like what are you talking about, Matt Powell? Like, Brett, this is the smart guy. This is the brilliant, intelligent, smart guy. Because those aren't atheist theories. Branches of science.
to get into ministry and just preach the word of God and just preach the Bible to people.
So whenever it comes to the education system, I remember back whenever I was a former atheist, I noticed that I never heard of Christian schools or religious schools having attacks or shootings and all this. But it seemed like when Madeline O'Hare, an atheist from American Atheist Association, removed prayer from school and religion, all of a sudden we started noticing killing, and the education quality started going down as well in school. Is this something you noticed, or is this just a fad, or do you think it's going to get worse?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you look at the fact that they took the Bible out of school, and right after that happened, abortion rates skyrocketed, premarital sex rates skyrocketed. You also have suicide rates that skyrocketed. Atheists even lead the world in suicide, school shootings, drug abuse, and alcohol abuse.
Let me turn it back on. All right, should be good. All these claims I've debunked several times in the past, just not true. There's no indications of this. Suicide is rampant all across the country. There is no way possible that atheists have the, maybe percentage-wise I'd have to look at it, but even if that is true, which I don't think it is, I have looked at the numbers before. I'd have to look at it to refresh myself. When you look at those suicide numbers, it breaks down like major denominations of Christianity. You'll have your Catholics, you'll have your Baptists, and it'll break those down and give those numbers. So what you have to do is you have to add all those up and average them out, and it actually comes up higher than the atheist rate of suicide. But suicide across the board, high for everybody, because America has more guns than anywhere else in the world. Something like 380 million guns in America. And when you have access to that, well, an easy way out for a lot of people. It's unfortunate. And until we do something about all the problems involved, mental health, access to therapy, guns, you're going to continue to have an extremely high suicide rate. Unfortunate. But all of these numbers, these are what I call Gavin Herleman numbers. Because usually, you can find these numbers on right-wing sites, Christian sites, but not the actual sites that take these statistics. Or if you do, as I said, when it comes to the suicide rate, you got to do some work there to figure out how Matt Powell's lying to you.
They lead the world, even though they make up 3 to 5% of the population. They make up the largest amount of people as a demographic that commit these atrocities. And they've committed 97% of school shootings since Columbine. And so that says a lot about the statistics behind those who believe that there is no God and what it causes them to do.
That's interesting. I notoriously bad at looking at the chat. Some things do end up popping out at me. I'm hoping that, like, going back and using just more of a simpler, just StreamYard format will help me actually be able to look at the chat, because StreamYard has the chat there. So hopefully I'll be able to see it a little bit more. But this is interesting. I had not heard this. I expected something like this to be coming down the pipeline, because I really expect Rudy Giuliani to be charged with some charges sooner than later. I think he'll be the first, and the dominoes are going to start to fall on the Trump administration. But I had not heard that yet. After I get done with this stream, and as I'm laying down to take a nap before work, maybe I'll throw that on and listen to it in the background as I go to sleep.
I watched a video where you were talking about the Columbine shooters, and it broke my heart to see you. It looked like you were about to break down, because it was so emotional and so passionate about what they did to that young girl. I know some people out there, and I've seen non-believers actually justify, say, well, they were bullied, they had a hard life. Matt, I don't know about you. I had a difficult life, but I never just decided, you know what, I need to go somewhere and go on a killing spree. What's going on with our young out there?
Too many guns, an ideology that tells them to hate the other side. Damn those liberals, they're all socialist Marxists trying to take over the country. I mean, what do you think that's going to result in? And I know we're about to get into what Matt Powell loves to say. This is another claim that he just made. That he makes the claim that all mass shootings are atheists. Because Christians just never would do that. Although it's always a goddamn Christian that does it. But it's that no true Scotsman that Matt uses. That a lot of Christians actually use in this argument when you're talking about mass shootings. More and more people are starting to say this stupid shit. Putting mass shootings on us when we're not the ones doing them. It's unfair. And it's just a bold-faced fucking lie. No evidence or truth to it at all. For one, we're not even a big enough chunk of society to do all of these mass shootings. Like, seriously.
That's a really good question, Brett. I think, when it came to the shooting of Rachel Joy Scott and the other people at Columbine, the school shooters themselves, Eric Harris posted a website on his website. He said, and I quote on there,
and I'm not going to, I will combat it as we go, but if you really want, like, in-depth, me trying to combat the things that he's saying, this is nothing new with Matt Powell. I've covered all these things before. Other people have covered them. Brainbug would be a good reference. He's really went, into some of the science on some of these things that Matt Powell claims. He's about to claim that Eric Harris and Klebold, the two shooters of Columbine High School, committed that. I'm just like realizing, am I just... Let's do something. I just need to see something really quick. Yeah, no, I'm still on my landline. I looked like I had Wi-Fi. But he's saying that the two shooters for the Columbine High School were evolutionists, and they did it for evolution, which just isn't true. Both of them, as far as I know, I mean, at least Klebold was raised a Christian. I know that for a fact. I do believe Harris was as well. They were neo-Nazis. That's why they did it. Now, Matt makes the claim that, Hitler was an evolutionist, and as far as I know, he has some like really extreme ideas about evolution. Sure, but he was raised Catholic as well. No indication that he still didn't have a belief in deity. No indication that he was an atheist. Some indication that he did plan on persecuting Christians after he was done with the Jews, for sure. I think that that's well documented history. He never got to it, and he was endorsed by the three Protestant leaders of Germany, which unified Germany under his power. But to say that Klebold and Harris did this shooting for evolution because they were atheists, because they hated God believers, It's just a bald-faced lie, and it's a misrepresentation of the history. And what? As we have these conspiracy theories going around, and more people believe them, it makes it harder to really do anything about the real problem. A real problem that's still dominant, with all this misinformation, all this propaganda, with white supremacy on the rise, with hate crime on the rise, a relevant problem still in this society that Matt Powell just has to lie about time and time again. And like, when you lie about white supremacy, when you take away white supremacy from the narrative and you try to put it on evolution, I have to question why. Now, I understand you hate evolution and you want to demonize it, but why would you give white supremacy a pass, Matt Powell? It's an interesting question.
He said, you know what I love? Natural selection. It's the best thing that ever happened to the earth. And he says, getting rid of all the stupid and weak organisms, but it's all natural. Yes. And so what did him and Dylan do? They go into a school based on their belief in evolution and in atheism, survival of the fittest, and wiped out with...
Straight up lie, not the truth, didn't happen. This Rachel person that they're talking about, that he's talking about, didn't happen the way that he's saying. They didn't go and ask every person they shot in that school, are you a Christian? And when that person said, hell yeah, I'm gonna die believing, blast him in the head. That's not how it happened. Not how it happened. Just isn't. How Columbine happened was actually a mistake, because they planned on blowing up the whole fucking school, but the bombs didn't go off. They were going to kill everybody, but the bombs didn't go off, so they had to improvise, and they started shooting. One person they did ask if she believed in God. She said yes, and they did shoot her in the head. But once you know the story behind it, you realize that's not why she was killed. Because she had a relationship with Eric Harris for the 6 months previous. So, considering she was the first person they targeted, I think he had his reasons, and I don't think it was God. And I think it's fairly obvious at this point. Now, back then when it first happened, all this misinformation was coming out. Reporters were reporting it inaccurately, which is what they do. They jump on the story. They don't wait for the facts. It's a problem with journalism right now. But at the same time, you need to know when these events are unfolding in real time, especially in the local area, so you're not going there. Double-edged sword. Still trying to figure out how to deal with this in society. Media oftentimes drops the ball. But it's been such a long time now, and people have done rigorous work piecing the parts together of what happened in Columbine, that we have a very accurate picture of what actually happened there. All you have to do is go find that information. Stop perpetuating all of the false information that came out at the time, because we know most of it's just bullshit at this point.
What they consider to be inferior races. So it is infecting the young people, no doubt, this idea that there is no God, or that we just evolved from pond scum, and that we're nothing more than an animal. And I even had a guy tell me one time, well, I can't believe your Bible because, well, your God, he created the world, but then he made an animal talk. Well, here's the thing. According to atheism, we are all animals. So he's a talking animal that's telling me not to believe that God...
Such a straw man right there. All right, so when we say he made an animal talk, he made an animal that we know can't talk, doesn't have the organs to talk. That's an issue. Yes, we are animals. Through the theory of evolution, it took us a while to evolve the necessary components to put speech together. And then it took us a while after that to actually put speech together. That's called evolution. And when we say talk, I fully expect that, when dogs bark, they're communicating in whatever way they know how. We can't understand that. They might not even be able to understand it. But a snake ain't going to start speaking English, Matt. That's the issue. Bless your heart.
God could make an animal talk when he himself, according to his ideology, is a talking animal. And so, yeah, these people, Brett, they have infiltrated the school system, no doubt, and they can't defend their position. Their positions are indefensible.
Infiltrated the school system. So school boards set curriculum. Teachers have little to no say in what that curriculum is. They get paid to teach. Some teachers, probably most teachers, infer some of their own personalities into what they do in their job. That would probably happen on both sides. So if you have an atheist teacher, sure, he might say some shit the theists won't like. Theist parents won't like. Now, if you have a Christian teacher, she might end up saying some shit the atheist parents aren't going to like. It's called being a human being, and nobody's really able to put 100% of themselves away. You are who you are, and that is going to eventually come out. Now, when my kid comes home and says like something, her teacher was talking about Jesus, I don't get my panties up in a bunch. Although I'm sure some atheist parents would. It just doesn't bother me. I want people to be who they are. I'm not gonna raise a fuss about that. Now, some people might, and I'm not gonna take that away from them. On the other foot, a lot of Christian parents would definitely make a fuss about an atheist spouting atheism in school. But the point is, school boards set curriculums. Teachers teach those curriculums. Matt, it's not evolutionists have infiltrated school. It's that science has. I mean, that's kind of what school's for. To teach the science, and the maths, and the histories, and the English. Now, I know you went to homeschool, and your mama probably only taught you about Jesus. But that's what fucking school's for.
It's a bull, and that's why when people like you and I deal with them, and even though
Brett, I'm only on for about 10 minutes. I said, I'm ending at noon because I was up late. I was checking out Bar's channel. Bar is infectious. Again, go subscribe to Black Atheist Rants if you haven't. He is infectious. That smile, I needed a smile last night. I was up late, so I'm gonna take a nap before I go to work. So I'm gonna end at noon. This is a part one. The next one, it's only an hour long. So the next one, I'm going to, next time I review this, I might invite 3 or 4 people to review it with me and just do a long stream.
different.
That'll be next week sometime. Because tomorrow, I believe I start going home. So tomorrow, I believe I can pack up my computer and I can take that home. Saturday, I should be home. So Sunday I got the open room with Raw the Time Traveler. We're going to finish that conversation, have an open room. So it'll be sometime next week. We'll pick this back up, and I'll let 3 or 4 people come in and review it with me.
On our views as far as the age of the earth, when we deal with the atheistic theories, we just rip them apart every time because they don't have a leg to stand on. And all we're trying to do is point out that these theories have caused students and school shooters to go in and just massacre people.
Atheist theories. You mean the scientific theory of evolution? Atheist theories like evolution causing all of these school shooters you heard Matt Powell. It's all evolution. It's not right-wing propaganda. It's not over excessive amounts of guns in America. It's not, damn those liberal ideologies that spew in all the airwaves right now. Goddamn, Joe Biden's a socialist. Marxism trying to take over the country when Joe Biden's one of the biggest fucking capitalists you'll ever meet. It's none of that. It's that goddamn evolution. Evolution.
And like I said, they lead the world in suicide, school shootings, drug abuse, and alcohol abuse. Those are some terrible things. And that's why we want to warn them about.
Not quite sure what's going on in the chat. Not sure what's going on in the chat. I would say, as long as there's no slurs going on in the chat, you guys be argue and bicker. Just no slurs. That's all I ask, and no, you know, like if you're gonna personally attack anybody, mods, do your thing. But I got in here and I'm not really paying attention to what's going on in the chat at this point.
About the judgment that's on their lives.
Now, I heard you speak about the talking animals thing, and I've also seen you respond in a question that you and I have dealt with non-believers. They say they have a difficult time accepting that a man could resurrect from the dead, yet these are the same people who believe in spontaneous generation. They think billions of lives came into existence from dead matter, right? What's your thoughts on that? And also, I was wondering, do you think being taught that you're an animal may have an effect on your behavior, may actually have you act like an animal?
Absolutely. It should come as no surprise when students act like animals, when they're being taught that they...
Oh, Brett, that was just painful. Oh, my God. That was just painful. So, let's break this question down, Brett Keane. Because we know that a very, 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 very long time ago, we evolved from a different primate, from a great ape. And I think eventually, like if you go back far enough, we evolved from a fairly small monkey. But because evolution shows this, and because people have started to know this, well then, and I'm trying to understand your question here, Brett. Well then, once we realize that we're just animals, well then we just start acting like animals. Like what? It isn't left-wing atheist. It isn't right-wing atheist usually. I'm not going to say never. Because never say never. But it isn't atheists going around doing these school shootings, doing these mass shootings. Just isn't. It isn't atheists going to the Capitol on January 6th, tearing down the walls of our Capitol building. Being metaphorical right now. You know what I mean. Breaking in, doing damage, threatening the lives of politicians. Was an atheist. It's not atheists that go to military services and spit on the graves of the dead soldiers of the United States of America. Now, I'm not a big military guy. I'm not a big nationalist. But, when I see Westboro Baptist Church do that, Brett Keane, well, that just kind of makes me sick to my stomach, doesn't it? Doesn't it make you sick to your stomach? Because that's not atheists doing that. Most atheists, unfortunately, right now, consist primarily of educated, white, well-to-do people. Changing those dynamics. Being more inclusive. Atheism, in my belief, is for everybody. But because you think that science has shown that we evolved from a primate into the intelligent creatures that we are in the modern age, and that having that knowledge gives us leeway to just act a goddamn fool, like, Brett Keane, what the fuck are you saying and where do you get that from? Seriously. I don't get it, bro. I don't get it. Especially considering you're talking to a guy that literally calls for the genocide of all gay people, Brett Keane. And you want to say this about us? But I did say I want to end it. So this was just a preamble. We're just getting into it. There's the one part that I did see before I went into a stream when this was going live. I remember him, like, he was saying that atheists are using a false equivalency fallacy when we say Christians have the same problems that we do, or that we have the same problems that Christians do, or we have the same issues going through life that Christians do. And they say that that's a false equivalency fallacy when it's just a simple fact that we're humans. When we say stuff like that, what we mean by that, and you're a father now, Matt Powell, is that, and you should understand this now that you're a father, is that once you become a parent, and if you're a good parent, well, what you want in this life is for your child to be taken care of, to get educated, to be happy, to be safe. Whether you're atheist, whether you're Christian, whether you're Muslim, whether you're agnostic, whether you're deist, Hindu, Buddhist, that these are the fundamental traits that we as human beings can share and find common ground. But Matt Powell don't think so, because, we're those goddamn atheists. And that's what I'm saying, like, if we're ever, and it's not going to happen in my lifetime, I'll never see it. At least I don't think I will. But if we're ever going to actually coexist within the same society, we've got to stop demonizing each other. Now, I'm guilty of this too. I am. I've dealt with a lot of fundamentals, a lot of extremists. So it's hard for me to kind of differentiate. It's hard for me to talk to a more progressive, liberal Christian and not remember the bullshit like we just heard. Or to think that, maybe they really think some of those things as well, and they're just not telling me. So I do think that's where I'm gonna end it for the day. I appreciate all of you being here. Wow, 43 people. Things are picking back up on the channel. I'm digging it. I appreciate you guys being here. And like I said, when I take this back up, and I've got other things to look at too. But when I take this back up, we'll open it up and we'll let some of y'all come in and tell me what you think about what we're watching. I'm going to start doing that. I think that'll be fun. So this was just a preamble, y'all. We ain't even got to me yet. We haven't gotten to Arn Rod and your friendly neighborhood atheist and Simon, Dan, and marriage. There's so much more to cover. So much more to cover. I wish I could tell you what day next week, but I'll try to get it on the channel once I decide. I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to announce these streams more so you guys know when I'll be live and you can come hang out with me. I want to thank all of you for being here. I want to thank my patrons. I want to thank all you longtime supporters. Hopefully we'll have some really good conversations. Now, I might be having a debate soon. We're going to set that up. I'm going to be talking to people I haven't talked to in a while soon. I'm going to talk to new people, and I'm going to bring that stuff for you guys. So I think the channel is really going to start picking up again. We're going to get back to some rage. Some good conversation. I want some good conversation. And hopefully I can bring it to you. Thank you for being here. I'll see you soon. And as always, I have to send a big thank you to my patrons. My patrons have been there for me on the internet